Hey guys, it's Josh here. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how to raise your consciousness. So the first thing I want to do is introduce you to what's known as the map of consciousness by a guy called David Hawkins. If you haven't seen this map, it's amazing, it's very incredible, and I'll put it here so you can see it. The map of consciousness is basically a scale of levels of consciousness that Dr. Hawkins mapped out from enlightenment at the very top all the way to shame at the very bottom. And he basically mapped out the human experience from shame all the way up to enlightenment. So it's kind of like a scientific process, and I think that's a good thing to add at the beginning here, because when we're talking about raising our consciousness, we're talking about going from these lower levels of like fear, anxiety, grief, apathy, shame, guilt, all those depressive states, up into higher states of peace, love, joy, happiness, courage, acceptance, understanding, all of those kinds of blissful states of consciousness. So a lot of people think that when you're doing spiritual work or conscious work, it's got to be about like meditating on the mountaintop or avoiding toxic people, avoiding bad energy. And that's not what it's about at all. It's actually the complete opposite. People who are trying to avoid negative situations or cut out toxic people or, get rid of bad vibes, you got to be careful of those people because they do not understand what they're actually doing. If you want to raise your level of consciousness, what you're actually wanting to do is you're wanting to become more inclusive in your experience. You're wanting to bring higher levels of consciousness, like let's say, for example, acceptance and love to the lower levels of consciousness. It's not about avoiding lower levels of consciousness, like I don't want to have any fear, I don't want to have any anxiety, I don't want to have any grief, I don't want to have any shame, I don't want to have any guilt. It's not about pushing them away, which is what most people do. It's actually about learning to include those, to love those, to accept those. When you can expand your ability to include the full spectrum of life, that is when you will raise your consciousness. So again, you're not trying to resist it or like only compartmentalize parts of life. So you're only not trying to just feel certain positive emotions. You're learning to allow yourself to have a capacity to experience the whole human experience, right? So that includes the anxiety, it includes the depression. Now, obviously you don't want to stay there, but it's like this paradox where once you accept it and you allow it and you learn to love it, it actually goes away. The reason why people stay stuck in their anxiety and their depression and all these low states of consciousness is because they're trying to fight it. They're trying to resist it. They're saying, I don't want that. And what you resist will persist. So you need to learn how to actually accept it and allow it. That's when you'll actually be able to raise your consciousness, okay? Now, another thing that really helps with raising your consciousness is moving from pride-based living, so living purely for yourself and for your own ego and for your own stubbornness and pride. I call it service to self. When you're only living with service to self, you're going to stay in this limited experience. When you move from service to self to service to others, that's when you become unlimited, limitless. Now you're not just trapped in this contracted, limited little version of yourself. You're actually allowing yourself to expand into a bigger self, a more expanded awareness, right? I literally teach this and I call it the little self and the big self. There's a lot of people out there who are living with this little self, right? It's just like this little pride, this little ego, this stubbornness. They think that they're right about everything and they never grow because of that. Your stubbornness keeps you stuck. Your pride keeps you stuck. You want to move from pride to presence, from a limited self to an unlimited self. And you do that by not just focusing on yourself, but by focusing on others. And if you don't really know what your purpose in life is, or how you can serve others, or how you can contribute to others, and this is just a bonus, if you don't know what purpose is all about, it's about contribution to others, right? A lot of people get stuck on this purpose thing because they're like, what's my purpose? you've got it all wrong if you're thinking about what's my purpose. Your purpose is to help others. Contribution is the purpose. And if you're not sure how you can contribute to others just yet, then work on yourself. Because when you work on yourself and you create your best self, you can then give your best self to the world. I imagine people as like toroidal fields. So you imagine you're like an energetic being, right? And your heart is the center. There's an energy aura that comes around you, right? And if you are very self-centered and focused only on yourself, it's going to be this limited, contracted field of energy, right? And if you're in this anxious, depressive, low frequency, low consciousness state, your field of energy is literally going to be this contracted little field. But when you're expanded into your limitless self, you're focusing on others, you've got this bigger sense of self, this expanded sense of self, focusing on service to others, then your energetic field and your consciousness literally just gets bigger and rises up to higher levels. It's crazy. And so if you don't know what your purpose is, you don't know how to contribute to others, don't focus on helping others just yet. Focus on getting yourself into an energetic state where you feel like you're in a really good energy, right? Like you're in a positive vibration, because then the best thing that you can do is give that positive energy to the world, be able to express that positive energy out into the world and create, positive frequency and a positive expression of consciousness, as opposed to the negative, anxiety, depressive states. Okay? So if you are in one of those states, you have to learn how to accept yourself, right? So you've got to learn how to know who you are firstly and understand your own consciousness, understand yourself. Then you've got to accept yourself, learn to love yourself, and then you can finally be yourself and you can be your creative, authentic self, and you can contribute to the world in a meaningful way and actually live a good life. That's how you're going to raise your consciousness, okay? You're going to firstly understand that you are living on a spectrum of consciousness with shame and guilt at the bottom and enlightenment and love at the top. You're also going to understand that the way that you rise from the lower levels up to the higher levels is actually bringing the love and acceptance from the higher levels down to the lower levels, right? People call this like shadow work or going to the darkness. You have to do it. You bring the light to illuminate the darkness, and you learn to love the darkness, and you love the shame, and you love the guilt. You love all of those parts of yourself, and you include all of those parts of yourself, not just in yourself, but in others as well. Right? That's why Jesus says, love thy neighbor, right? You've got to learn how to love others. Do as to others as you would want them to do to you, right? So you've got to learn to live like that. That will help you rise your consciousness, because you'll be accepting and including everything into your consciousness. So by the nature of it, it will get bigger. It will rise up into a higher level. Then from there, you can stop focusing on yourself so much, stop being such a self-centered, ego-driven, proud person, and learn to have service to others, even if that just means contributing a positive energetic state to the environment that you're in. If you can just do those two things, that is going to really, really help, right? So we've talked about the rising up into high levels of consciousness, the service to others. One more thing that you can do is understand that your conscious awareness, your present awareness, will naturally help you to expand into a more limitless version of yourself. When you are truly present, when you're truly conscious, you become conscious of everything, and you actually realize that you are consciousness. That is what you are. You're not John Smith. You're not Karen from down the road. You are consciousness. You're not the identity that you're identifying with. You're not the thoughts that you're thinking. You're not even the emotions that you're feeling. There's a level that actually goes beyond the level of consciousness, the map of consciousness, right? You end up transcending the whole map itself by realizing that you are all of it, right? And so you do that when you become truly conscious and truly present. That's why I'm such a big advocate for meditation, because when you have proper guidance and proper instruction in a meditation practice, you can get to those states where you are transcendent, right? And that's magic. That's where the magic happens. So that's it. That's how you raise your consciousness. If you want more help with this, I'll put some links below to the blog where you can read about this, and also to my Mind Launch School, and to work with me one-on-one. All the links are below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.